All right, welcome to Chad's Coffee Hour. This is my second episode. I'm glad to have y'all back. Today I got a special guest here. I just want to just call him Jerry D because the long last name, and again I apologize for that, but he gave me permission to say that. And Jerry's from California. Is that correct?
Yep, that's correct. You are 3 hours ahead. So, good afternoon to you. It is morning to
Yeah,
me. So, pleasure to be here. Thanks for inviting me out.
no problem. Now, what part of California are you from?
So, I'm in San Diego.
Okay,
So, good old
okay,
SoCal.
there you go. So yeah, so what kind of weather you got out there? Probably jealous of it.
Oh man, so I'm gonna give it to you, man. It's been brutal out here. It's been
Mm,
about 30 degrees,
wow,
30 degrees, and like the highs are like 60s, and yeah, man, it's tough
wow.
out here. I don't know how I'm gonna make it.
Yeah, that's a lot colder than I figured. I figured you're gonna stay like 60 or 50s. Wow, yeah, that's good. Now here we're getting a big Arctic blast. It's supposed to get down like wind chills tomorrow, like 15 to 20 below. So,
Oh yeah, I know.
ugh,
Just this past, I think Tuesday it was. So I live in the northern county of San Diego, and so the weather that we get here is maybe plus or minus 10 degrees of central San Diego because they have the ocean and everything there. I'm more inland, so
okay.
Tuesday morning, I wake up and there's like frost all over my car. It was 26 degrees when I came out. I was
Wow,
like, what is going on right now?
exactly. Did, did I wake up in somewhere else? Yeah, yeah. That's
Yeah.
probably that's unheard of down there. It sounds. I bet you don't get that too very often. I wouldn't
Oh
think.
yeah, yeah, for sure. I mean, that's definitely abnormal weather for sure. People say that they come to California for the weather, and it's just like, oh, we don't even have California weather no more. Like, why am I still
Yeah.
here?
Yeah, it seems like it's changing a lot everywhere. It seems like the cold snaps that last longer and they extend further south anymore. I mean, look how bad it was last year around Texas. Getting ice storms and snowing. It's like seriously.
Yeah, oh yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
I used to live in Texas. So
Okay.
I was born and raised here in San Diego until about the second grade, and then I moved out to Dallas, Texas. Stayed out there until about my junior year of high school.
Okay.
So I have a lot of friends out there still in Texas, and I was hitting them up like, hey, you guys good out there? Like, what's going on? Like,
Yeah.
everything's getting frozen over. There's snow in Dallas, which is usually unheard of. You maybe we'll get some black ice every now and then, but
Right.
snow, like that's not normal.
No, no, that's not good at all. So that's yeah, yeah, that wouldn't be well. At least it shouldn't last real long. I wouldn't think down there. We're up here. If you get snow and it don't get very warm, you sticks forever.
Hmm. Hmm.
But that's not good. But so I know you've gotten into kayak. Now, how long you been into kayak fishing?
So yeah, I've just been in fairly recently. It's been less
Right.
than a year. So I got my kayak, my first kayak back in April. And here, let me actually share my screen so that you
Go
can
ahead.
kind
Yeah.
of see. So I did get a little bit of, uh, one second, where did my, all right. So can you see that there?
There we go. We're
All
up.
right, here we go. So, this was my first kayak that I got back in April or
Okay.
March, actually, March 23rd of 2023. So this was a Perception Crank 10.
Okay.
So it was a 10-foot kayak. It's a pedal drive. Um, Very first one. The how I got into kayak fishing in general was my buddy. He bought a kayak, and he knows that I go fishing a lot. And he was like, "Hey man, you should get a kayak." And I kind of brushed it off a lot. I was like, "Yeah, I don't need a kayak right now. I don't even have a place to store it. Like I'm good."
Right.
And he just kept on pushing at it, and came across this kayak. It was a good deal. Um, Even as of a good deal as it was, I actually got this kayak for $600.
Right.
So insanely inexpensive. And even then, I was still kind of on the fence about getting it because I was just like, man, do I really need to spend this much money on a kayak right now? Like, I don't
Right.
need a kayak. I'm perfectly fine with getting my rental boats. But, I eventually pulled the trigger, got it. And as you can see here, I live in a condo. So my kayak is stored in my patio. So I don't have a garage or anything to put this guy in. But I got rid of this kayak just fairly recently, and
Can you pull it up a little bit so we can see a little bit bigger?
oh yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So let's see. Can you? This is the full screen. I'm not really sure if you guys can see that or not.
No, we're seeing a bunch of little different little pictures across the board there.
Oh, here, let me see here. Let's see if I can give you another window here. Oh, here we go.
Okay.
There we go. I think that's a little bit better.
Oh yeah, there we go. Okay, that's it right there.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. There you go. I was hoping that it would show up in a different window, but yeah. So pedal drive kayak. Kept this guy in my in my patio for the longest time because I don't have a garage. I didn't want to leave it strapped up on the top of my SUV every
Yeah.
day. So the length itself was just perfect. It was perfectly um, in tune with the way that my patio is, just because of the length. And I was just like, okay, I got pretty lucky with this. I guess it was
Yeah.
kind of meant to be.
Yeah, it fits right in there.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So I
But
fished with this guy for a little while. The first bass that I caught off of it was let me actually share my screen here, because there's a way that I can just. Oh, there we go. I'm just gonna do the entire screen. That'll probably be better.
there you go. We'll
Um,
just do it a little.
can you see this guy a little bit better?
Yep,
All right,
sure
cool.
can.
Yeah, this was my first kayak bass back in April 2023. So literally a week after I bought that kayak. We launched it off at a reservoir here called El Capitan,
Mm-hmm.
and got this little guy on a drop shot. I mean, he's not big by any means, but it's that core memory of your
The
first
first one,
kayak bass.
right?
Yeah, that first one.
Yeah, everybody remembers that first one. Mine was just a little bitty one too. I think maybe 10 inches or whatever. But like you said, it's the first one that you had. It's like that's pretty nice. And
Mm-hmm.
and the first thing, and I know you're probably gonna laugh because a lot of people make fun of these lures, but I did buy one because I was curious about the Lunker Hunt Spider.
Hmm.
Did you ever see that lure?
I lunker hunt spider. I've
Yeah,
never
that's the name of
actually.
the Yeah, that's the name of the company, Lunker Hunt, and
Uh,
it looks just. I mean, it looks real. If you laid it on a table and didn't tell anybody, you think somebody probably see that and think, oh my god, that's a real spider there.
uh,
It floats kind of, but you always got it. But it was kind of you always had to squeeze the body because it get filled up with the water and want to sink after
oh,
really
okay.
quick after a while. So that kind of got to be a pain. And a lot of people were saying, the legs come off easy, blah blah blah. I didn't have any of that, but that was actually I thought it looks good off the in the weeds. I actually caught one with it. So
There you go.
I don't know.
I think I've seen those before. At like Bass Pro, they
Yeah.
have like this whole section of just stuff that they just look incredibly realistic. Like they have
Oh,
like
I know
little
it.
rats and stuff like that, and I'm just like, I'm pretty sure you can catch a lot of fish with that, but here, that might be a
Yeah.
iffy. But no, that's. I mean, you catching your first kayak bass on a unique bait, that's something that you're always gonna remember.
Yeah. Yeah.
I caught that guy on a little drop shot, so
Yeah.
I didn't really have to do
It's
much, but
it's a productive bait though, very
oh
well.
yeah, yeah, for sure.
So that was your first one, and that was just a paddle only?
That was a pedal drive.
Oh, pedal
Yeah.
drive,
So
okay.
so I'm a little spoiled. I started off with the pedal drive. I never had to go through the whole like
Oh,
paddle and then pedal and then motor and.
right. Yeah, you went right into it because my first one, I didn't have I had it a year. It was a feel free lure. I think it was the Moken 10 or whatever, free feel lure
Mhm.
10 foot. It was a 10-foot one. It was paddle. Um, I liked everything. It was just really light, and I liked the wheel and the keel system that feel free has in the back.
Mhm.
You can pull it around. You really didn't need a cart too much, but man, you constantly, get in the paddle and position yourself, and you got to put on your lap and then fish. And then you go next thing you got to get back in the paddle, you got to keep adjusting yourself.
Yeah, I keep on
So
repositioning. Yeah.
yeah, so last year I went in and I bought a, native, and I still got it 'cause I really like it, the Slayer Propel 10. It's the,
There you go.
yeah, it's the max. It's not the max, but it's just a regular Slayer Propel 10, but it's a pedal, and then that to me was a game changer. I mean, it's like hands-free. You can toss like this. If you start drifting a little close, you just pedal backwards and go
Mhm.
out and go in, and it made it a lot more fun and a lot more easier to move around. So, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's for sure. I mean, like I said, I went directly into that, so I didn't have to go through the whole
Yeah.
paddle phase. But yeah, I mean, I absolutely love that kayak. It was
Right.
really light. I think it was like 75 pounds. The whole weight was like 75 pounds, 10-foot kayak. So it was like perfect for me. Um, but I found myself getting pushed around a lot because some of the lakes that we
Right.
have here, the wind kind of, kicks you all away and stuff like that. And I decided to kind of get a new vessel. Like I wanted to look into getting a motor and everything like that, and
Right.
trying to like rig it onto that kayak. But um, that kayak in particular, I don't think it was really geared for fishing. More or less, it was just more or less for recreational use.
Right.
Um, so I did a few things to that. I put on like the T tracks and stuff like that. But looking for a way to mount the motor was going to be a challenge. So no, I've been on Facebook Marketplace. I live on Facebook Marketplace, on
Yeah.
OfferUp, on
Yeah.
Craigslist. Like
That's where I
I'm
sold
on
my
that
first
stuff.
kayak. Yeah,
Yeah.
marketplace. I sold my first in there. I took a bunch of pictures and I let the guy come out and look at it. So yeah, I'll
Mhm.
take it. Because yeah, it's you can find some good deals there.
Oh yeah, for sure, for sure. So yeah, so that came about, and then I eventually got this guy in December last month. And let me see if I could share this guy out. All right.
That's the one you made the video about, right?
Yeah. So this is my latest and greatest. New new canoe unlimited. This is 12 and a half foot kayak.
Okay.
It has the Motor Guide XI3 on it. So I went from being spoiled to just absolutely just I don't know. I don't have to do anything anymore. Like I could focus a lot more on fishing, which is
Right.
great. But that the biggest feature that I liked was that spot lock feature.
Mm,
Like I said, like when you get on top of a group of fish, the last thing you want to do is get pushed around
right.
and try to reposition yourself all the time. So that spot lock feature is an absolute game changer.
Now was that a big difference between that and the pedals? I'm assuming because, like you said, it's pretty much hands free, or almost, isn't it? Or leg free.
Yeah, so I mean, it's a weird habit that I need to break, but I still find myself trying to kick around,
Uh,
and so there's like nothing to kick there. So I'm just like I'm kicking a whole lot of nothing, uh, and I'm trying to mess with the rudder system. This actually doesn't have a rudder system, so like
mm,
everything is controlled by a little remote that's like tied around my neck. So any kind of little adjustment has to be done through that little remote. So whether
okay.
that be turning the vessel, spot lock, moving forward, moving backwards, things like that. So definitely something that I still have to get used to. But I feel as
Right.
though once I get it down, it's like, man, this thing is an absolute game changer for sure.
Yeah, I bet out there making wakes in the water.
Oh, yeah, yeah. I mean, it's not too bad.
Right.
Um, I think I've gone up to like 3.8 to 4.2 miles per hour,
Okay.
just fully going like full throttle all the way. With a 100 amp hour battery, supposedly I could get about 2 hours because this is a 52 amp max outage or power outage output. Sorry, but yeah, I should be able to get about 2 hours of that. I mean, realistically, you would never go like full throttle for two
Right.
hours straight. So that was one of my biggest concerns about having a strictly motorized kayak was like, if I run out of battery on the water, like I'm kind of screwed,
Right. Yeah.
like what am I gonna do now? I have to resort to paddling back, and if I'm 2 miles away, that's gonna take me all day.
Yeah. That's yeah. People don't realize that either. It's if you got to go for a while, it's a long distance when you got to do that paddling. Yes, for sure.
hmm
Now you obviously you do you carry a set of paddles with you? I still do. There's no way I go out without it.
Yeah, no, no,
Yeah.
that's an absolute must. Like
Yep.
one of the things that I'm always about is contingency plans. With
Yeah.
you and I being veterans, we always had contingency plans of
Yeah.
if worst case scenario. Um, so I always carry a paddle with me. I always have my PFD on. I have like
Yeah.
a little whistle. I have a medical kit, stuff like that. Um, but yeah, no, last thing I want to do is get stranded out there.
Right, and I tell people to always get a little bag and carry um, a tool for every single like little bolt or
Hmm.
screw or anything on there. They'll fit that in case you need to replace it, tighten something up. You'll have it right there because those little things like that makes a big difference in that. You know
Oh
what I mean?
yeah.
So, and then a lot of times, like I said, sometimes I get in shallow water. I've got to pull my drive out because either maybe there's the weeds are too much or it's too shallow. And I got to
Hmm.
pull it out. So I got to paddle back in somewhere. So it's it's good. You got it. I think it's a necessity. You got to be able to do it. Because I'm
Yeah,
sure you'd be
yeah.
the same way with that. If you get too shallow, you're not going to have that motor down. I wouldn't think.
No, no, absolutely not. I mean,
No.
I've gone to about, a foot of water in this, and luckily I didn't, I didn't get damaged or anything like that. I was actually
Right.
going on the shore checking something out, and I pulled it up, and it was it's good to have tools for,
Right.
worst case scenario, because
Yeah.
that one time where you don't think it happens and it does happen, yeah, that's
You do.
not gonna be
And
good. Yeah.
yep. And tether stuff, tether the important stuff, your phones, everything like that,
Hmm.
especially when you're, doing the kayak thing, you're taking pictures of the fish because your phone is you're using it a lot, or hopefully you are during the day. So worst thing they do, drop it in the water. So, it's yeah, I've lost a rod, because I was messing with something and it slipped off and then I couldn't get it in time. It just happens,
Oh man,
So
that's the worst.
yeah, it is the worst. Yeah, that's the one of the worst feelings. The other thing I like about that too, there's a lot of deck space because you could stand up and down, I'm sure, comfortably, and you got a lot of room to stretch and move around.
Oh yeah, I mean, I find myself having too much room sometimes. I'm just like, I've never been on a kayak where I could, take a few steps forward and a few steps back and still,
Yeah,
not trip over anything. I mean, it's nice to have. It's definitely an upgrade from my previous kayak, that's for sure.
right. Now, did that seat swivel on that model?
Yeah, so this is
Yeah,
this is a 360-degree
yeah, that's
seated,
nice.
swiveling. Yeah, it's I never knew, like I would have never guessed how much of an advantage that gives you.
Hmm.
And like when you're able to, when you're in a static position where you can only go front, and like if you have to cast, 45 degrees to your right, and you're turning your back, you can do that. But what
Right,
happens
but
when you're 180 degrees, or 90
right,
degrees? And yeah, having that no no the option to just simply swivel over and just cast is so nice. Um, but yeah, the seat swivels. It's a lot higher sitting position
right,
than what it was with my old kayak, and that kind of messes with the center of gravity a little bit, especially with those bigger waves when they roll in, and it kind of
right.
knocks you off off guard if you're not paying attention, and it's just, oh whoa, oh, I almost fell there.
Yeah,
And but it does help with spotting the fish and stuff like that. It puts you in a higher seating position so you can actually
right.
see a
And
lot more.
I think it makes it easier to cast too, and like you said, you can, it could it to me, I think, yeah, it is all this it's better be a little higher because I actually bought some 3D printed seat lifters for mine too,
Mm.
just to come it puts up about an inch and a half, but that little inch and a half to me made a world of a difference.
Yeah, it makes a lot. It makes a big difference, and it makes it a lot more comfortable too,
Right.
especially if you are a taller person, or if you have longer legs. Having that ability to kind of, instead of pushing up when you're on a pedal drive, if you could push horizontally and when you're kind of kicking, then that makes a world of difference.
Yeah, it's about comfort because if you're out there for quite a while, it's definitely about comfort because if you're not comfortable, you're not going to want to. Everything's going to start kind of going downhill. You're going to get tired more because you're going to try to
Hmm.
compensate for the uncomfortability. Then you're going to concentrate, man. This is sore, this is bad, and then your fishing might your fishing might get neglected a little bit. So
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
definitely keep comfort. Now we talked about before we came on. You actually have a tournament tomorrow, correct?
Yeah, yeah. So tomorrow is the first official tournament for the ABA Winter Classic.
Okay.
It's going to be held at San Vicente, and today was actually going to be today is the official pre-fish, but I had to miss out on that because I have some family events, and then
Right.
on top of
Same.
that, like I have the batteries that I need to charge now, and
Right.
with that, it can take up to about 10 hours to charge fully if it's fully depleted. So I didn't want to run that risk of going out to
Exactly.
pre-fish, going into a family event, coming back home, and hoping that it's going to be charged up for tomorrow. Like, there was just no way that that was going to be feasible. So
Yeah, that peace of mind, like you said, I would rather miss out on that than, like you said, going that morning crap. Oh, I don't know if these batteries are charged. How long is this going to last? And then then that's going to create a whole other issues that you don't even want to deal with. So
oh yeah, I mean, I
yeah,
even
'cause-
now, I've I usually fish around 8 to 12 or 8 to 10 hours a day when I'm out there. Like I'm out
right.
there from the day or from the time it opens to the time it closes, and I've yet to fully deplete the battery. But at the same time, like that always rolls in my mind, like man,
Mhm.
how much battery do I have? Um, but luckily, I've yet to deplete it. I've found that when I get back, it fully charges in about 4 to 5 hours, depending on how hard I run
Okay.
it. And so far so good. So that gives me a little bit of peace of mind knowing that I could fish all day how I normally would
Right.
and not have to worry about the battery. But you still get that little voice in the back of your head, like, hey, you might want to kick it down a notch because you
Mhm.
might run out of battery. So.
Now, what's the weather supposed to be like down there tomorrow?
So tomorrow, it's gonna be partly cloudy.
Okay.
We're looking at maybe let me see here. Let me actually look at my phone to take a look at that. So we're looking at a high of 62 and a low of 40 degrees.
Well, that's a big difference than what you got going on now.
Yeah, yeah, it's gonna be a tough one. I mean, so the official blackout period for this tournament was from Monday to Friday, and then
Okay.
today was the official pre-fish. But I went out fishing with my buddy Dustin. If anybody has seen my YouTube videos, like you guys know Dustin, he and I went out there last Saturday,
Okay.
and we went out to get there to go fish, and it was tough, man. It was tough. Spent all day out there, but was only able to pick up two. One of them off of a deep diving crankbait, and the other one off of a drop shot. So yeah. So to be honest, like I was just like, man, I don't think me going out there for a pre-fish is gonna do much justice with trying to find a pattern or anything like that. So I'm just gonna go out there and hope for the best. Not a good tournament strategy by any means,
Right.
but yeah, I've been to that lake quite a bit of times, and we kind of know some areas that produce, but overall, it's kind of like I can't, I don't really have a pattern or a strategy necessarily. It's just gonna go out
Right.
there and fish my strengths.
Yeah, there's gonna be it's gonna be a big difference in temperature too, so I don't know if
Mhm.
necessarily if what works today is gonna work tomorrow, you know?
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah, exactly.
so yeah, that'll be good too. So now you said you black up here, so they couldn't be on the water at all between them dates, right?
Yep, yep. So
Okay.
blackout period, you're not allowed to be on the lake or fish or anything like that.
Right.
Obviously, it's still going to be open to the public, but
Right.
when it comes to these tournaments, I would say it's more of an honor system more than anything
Yeah.
else. Like
Yeah, it
nobody's
really
going to
is.
be out there and be like, "Hey, are you fishing ABA this weekend?" Like
Yeah,
you can't
right.
be on. Like
Yeah,
it's just more of an honor system more than anything else.
yeah. Yeah, and that's a lot of it really is. I mean, they're getting better with everything, but it's just a shame some of the. I mean, you've seen some of the ways that people are, cheating, and it's like some of
Oh
these
yeah,
ways. I go, how do they even think of these ideas? Like
yeah. I mean, you have to be really creative,
yeah, it's
you
like
know.
if you spend that time on actually learning how to fish or whatever, you might actually not have to worry about those little cheating technique. I mean, because Chad Hoover had a video one time and it was explaining some of the ways that people were cheating. I had no idea. I was like, why would I mean, like I said, who thinks of this?
Yeah, yeah.
Putting things underneath the tail to make it longer. I mean, I wouldn't think of that, and I would never do that because, like I said, that takes the fun out of it. When you
Oh
got to
yeah.
resort to that. Like the walleye
Mhm.
cheaters putting weights in their fish. It wasn't a
Oh
kayak
man,
tournament. I mean,
that
that's
was
not. I
that's
just,
insane.
yeah, I don't understand. I don't. Yeah, I don't know how people can do it. But so now is it every fish counts or is it a 5 fish limit? Because some are having a little different rules.
Yeah, right, right. So this whole entire platform is how you've done kayak fishing tournaments before.
Right.
It's usually the five longest fish, but
Right.
considering how tough it's been out there, because even the locals are saying that San Vicente is fishing really really tough.
Yeah.
So we got knocked down to three longest fish now.
Okay.
So instead of the traditional five, it's now three. Um, but I mean, like I said, it's tough out there. I don't, if I manage to catch my limit or even just one, I'll be thankful. Just so I don't go out there and just freeze my butt off for no reason.
Yeah, right. Yeah, yeah, dress warm because you never know that water probably temperature. I'd be curious how that water temperature is. I wonder how it's going to be too.
So it's strange because last time we were out there, it was about 5 to 10 degrees warmer than the ambient air temperature. So it's a little bit
Mm,
warmer than what we would feel,
right,
on the surface. So if I remember correctly, we were fishing in about 55 degrees water temps, which is still fairly warm for winter, but
right.
just
Yeah,
cold enough for them to be lethargic and not get on an aggressive bite. um, just recently I started getting into reaction fishing because when I first started bass fishing, I was all about drop shot because I know that drop shot produces. That's how my uncle taught me to fish, was just drop shot. Um,
right.
Drop shot with a quarter-ounce weight with a mosquito hook tied on, nose hooked on a 6-inch robo worm. That was our bread and butter right there. We absolutely slayed fish with that combination. But um, just recently when I got my kayak, I was like, man, there's got to be different ways to fish for bass. I'm not too entirely brand new to like different techniques because even when I was in Texas, we fished a lot of hard baits for like the white bass and the sand bass and stuff like that.
Mm,
But that was like on what would be considered BFS stuff, bait finesse system stuff.
right.
So like using little 4'9" ultralight rods with 4 pound test and a little tiny Rapala jerk bait and stuff. That's what we would
Yeah.
use back in Texas.
Wow.
And so coming back here to California and me just now getting into bass fishing, I started getting some crankbaits, started getting some top water baits and stuff like that. And there's such a um, plethora of like information on the internet now. Like there's
Oh yeah.
people say there's no more secrets in bass fishing, and I kind of have my reservations about that. But there's
Right.
just so much information on YouTube, on forums and stuff like that
Wow.
you know we didn't have back in the days.
No.
Everything was, yeah, you buy it and you hope for the best, and if it doesn't do what you want it to do, you throw it back in the tackle box and you never tie it on ever again. Um, so now
Exactly.
it's kind of like you have YouTube and you have all these guys that are, content creators that are just using specific baits. And it's just like, wow,
Mm,
I like the way that, that looks. I like the way that, it gets worked. And,
right.
you kind of, then at the same time, you can look into reviews like, oh, how many other
Exactly.
people are using the Megabass Vision 110, and that's like the most popular jerk bait that you can get nowadays is the Megabass Vision 110, and I didn't even hear about it until recently, because
Yeah.
they don't have that stuff at like Bass Pro or anything like that.
No, I mean, it's good and bad, like you said, they put these reviews out, and then people know what the hot baits are, so when you go, like, to Tackle Warehouse, wherever to get it, gone out of stock, 'cause everybody's jumping
Hmm.
on it, so it
Yeah.
is a catch-22, but, yeah, 'cause I mean, I'm older, and then I go back from the day when I started fishing, internet didn't exist, wasn't even thought of then, so you had to look at magazines, or if there's a fishing show on to learn these techniques, and then if you needed to touch up on something, you're like, "Oh, crud, I don't know how am I gonna I guess try to find old magazine with an article in it." Now you say, "Okay, Nico rig, type it in, boom, there's, 50 videos on how to do the Nico rig," it's
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
it's kind of amazing, and I think that's one thing I'm gonna, um, try this year more than I ever have is that Nico rig. I really kinda like the looks of that, so I think that's what I'm gonna kinda focus on, but I'll ask you this. I'll tell you my favorite lure right now, that at least last year, and I just hated put it. It's not the most funnest way, but to me, it was so productive. I can't get away from the whacking worm. I can't get away from it.
Oh man.
It just catches fish.
It does. It does. So,
What's
man,
your
I
favorite?
remember. So my favorite. I I've just gotten into cranking,
Okay.
and but so I would say that I have two favorite baits. I have one of them being the River to Sea Tactical DD.
Okay.
That's one of their deep diving crankbaits that was made specifically for speed cranking. Especially now during the winter, Matt Allen and Tim Little, they designed that bait specifically for winter speed cranking.
Okay.
And I'm actually going to share a picture here.
Now, does that go deep?
Um, yeah, it goes down to about 18 feet.
Okay, because you probably got, it's probably a
So
deep lake out there, isn't it, that you're going to?
so the one that we're going to, I mean, it's reached. Man, I looked at my graph one time and it was like 254
Oh
plus
my
feet of
gosh.
water. Yeah, it is.
Wow.
It is a deep reservoir.
Yeah.
Um, but the tactical DD, just actually that past Sunday, um, I caught my PB. This is my PB. It's not a big one by any means. You know, it's a 3.86 pounder.
Solid bass.
Um, yeah, it's a solid one. And you know, I was using that crankbait, and he just ate that thing right up. It just felt like dead weight. It was crazy.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, I have that in my last video that I recently posted, or is it this one? I can't remember. I posted a video this morning too, my latest one. Um, Actually, yeah, it was the one that I posted today was the one that you would see. So if you guys ever wanted to look at that, yeah, that would be it. So this tactical DD, definitely one of my favorite baits, just
Okay.
strictly because it gets down to that depth where I would never think to throw a crankbait or anything, you know.
Right.
And you know, it has a really nice tight wobble. The hooks on it are phenomenal. The finish on it is a ghost minnow finish, and it just looks
Okay.
absolutely amazing.
Yeah. That's a
Um,
good color. Some of the, I
yeah,
make sure I see
no,
the colors like that. Ghost
it
shads,
looks
or what you call it.
they look great, especially if you want to go for if you're fishing like on a clear more reservoir. They have bait fish.
Okay.
Um, you know, you don't necessarily want to go to a straight shad bold color. You know, you want to have something that kind of looks a little bit more on the natural side, and that's what I've noticed with a lot of these SoCal reservoirs. Is the more on the natural side, the better you are.
Okay.
People consider these lakes like worm lakes, where you throw out a worm, you're gonna catch a bass. Like
You
that's
think it's a
almost
clarity
guaranteed.
thing too? You think it's a clarity thing of the water? Maybe it's why you'd want more of a natural color.
San Vicente is probably one of the clearest reservoirs that we have. I mean, you could see down to about 25 feet.
Wow.
And
Yeah.
that's like almost unheard of with any kind of lake here
Yeah.
in Southern California. So it's a very big, deep, natural. I wouldn't say it's natural. It's probably not natural, but it's really clear. It's surprisingly clear. And yeah, I think that the clarity of the water definitely plays a big role as to what color you want to choose when it comes to
Right.
your lures. But I'm always the type of person to always go more towards the natural side of things anyway. You look into my tackle box, you'll see nothing but, you know, shads, crawdads, or, you
Right.
know,
And
natural browns and reds and stuff like that.
yeah, in the colder water early part of the year too, that crawl. I mean, I'm in Indiana. Even that crawdad color is a very hot color early in the
Hmm.
year. That red, there's something about that red or that orange that just really triggers them. You know.
Yeah, yeah, make
So
them pop.
so yeah, your style of fishing there is a lot different. Like I said, the whacker is pretty much just nothing like the deep cranking. But yeah, I just the Berkeley General. That's just that. I mean, that's what I caught most of my fish on this year. That and the little Rebel Pop R type of a bait. That's where I caught a lot of fish on this year for some reason. But yeah, I can't get rid. I just can't put that Berkeley General down. I should probably give out that secret. But man, everybody knows about the General. But the green pumpkin,
No,
I think green pumpkin was my color.
yeah, no, I see. So I just
Hmm.
fished the wacky rig this year, and I've
Okay.
actually had quite a bit of success. And Justin, he actually teases me a lot because he knows that when it gets on how they weighted wacky. So the way that I fish, I'm a very fast fisherman. I don't like sitting there and waiting for the
Okay.
bait to soak. So I was just like, you know, I heard about the wacky, and everybody was like, man, you have to try out this technique. Like it's gonna catch fish.
Right.
And you know, I believed them. And you know, the first time I tied on a wacky, I threw it out there, I let it soak, and you know, I was watching it kind of go down. I'm like, man, this thing takes forever. Like,
Yeah.
like it's gonna take me like 5 minutes to go down like 5 feet. Like I don't
Right.
have time for this. But I caught my first wacky bass doing that, and I was like, okay, like maybe I can adjust towards my type of fishing style. So what I
Right.
did was I actually, instead of using just like a weighted weedless hook, I used a Z-Man Shrooms jig head hook, a weedless jig
Okay.
head. So like a 1/8 ounce, or like maybe even up to a 1/4 ounce, depending on how deep I want it to go. Um, so basically, just how you would normally rig up a wacky rig, you just hit it right in the center, hook it up right in the center, and you don't obviously want to take too much away from that action of the tail is kind of like wiggling down as it
Right.
sinks, but you want to get it down there faster than it normally would. So like something like a 1/8 ounce or something like that, it actually
Right.
does phenomenally. And I was able to produce quite a bit of fish using that technique. I remember there's a lake that I absolutely hate, called Pudding Stone. This is in like a couple hours north of where I live, and this is just a featureless bowl of water. And we actually had a tournament out there. And during one of my pre-fish days, I threw on a wacky because I was like, man, this is tough. Like I don't know what to do. Like I've thrown everything but the kitchen sink, and
Right.
going back over to my comfort bait, which is what it was back then. Throughout that weighted wacky, I got snagged up on a tree. So I pull up my kayak there. I reel up the slack. I'm trying to push my rod tip down and get it unhooked and everything like that. And I don't know I don't know what happened because I had zero slack. The hook was literally on the last eye of my rod, but I just suddenly felt dead weight, and then it just took off, and I was just like, oh my gosh, that's a fish. Bring it up, and it was like a three
Right.
and a half pounder.
Nice.
So yeah, I was just like, that was weird. I was stuck in a tree. Like I was actually stuck in a tree. It wasn't a fish or
Right.
anything that just laid there. I was
Right.
literally stuck in a tree, and I don't know if the fish just didn't see that I had a rod tip just probing down at this tree, and just messing with it. But yeah, that was a different kind of bite. But
Yeah,
yeah, I
definitely.
got that one for the pre-fish, but unfortunately for the tournament day, I didn't get as lucky. But I was like, man, the wacky it just comes in clutch.
Yeah, I just caught a lot of fish on different, a lot of different sizes. Like the biggest one I caught last year, I think was about three, little over 3.5. It was like 17.5 inches, in the tournament. So, and it was a wacky worm. And I go down the bank and I'll catch. I'm hoping I fished the KBF tournaments this year. I did the challenge series that they had, the state challenges, and then I did the knucklehead series that they put on, and these fish, I'd had my limit so fast, but they were just like 10, 11 inches, just not quite that 12-inch I needed. It's
Hmm.
like for some thinking, okay, next year maybe all these 10 or 11s will be 12, and I'll be able to get my limit really quick. But
Hmm.
it's always nice to get that first one and say, hey, I'm on the board. So
Yeah, yeah, no, man. So during that tournament itself, I was throwing out a Berkeley Chapo,
okay,
and it was
mhm,
raining that day too. It was raining that whole entire morning. So throwing out that Berkeley Chapo, finally got one on the board. It was like 12.5 or something like that. But
right,
that was like the best fish that I've ever caught, because that was my first tournament I've ever fished. And getting that first fish on the board for your first tournament, that's just
yeah.
like a huge thing.
Yeah, it's
But
exciting,
yeah,
it's exciting. See, I'm actually on there. No, you didn't get skunked either. So
yeah, yeah, that's true. Yep.
but then because I mean, then some of those I think like Tourney X, I think things like that you can look and see. I think you can that where you can look and see like what other people are catching out there, what their lengths are, or whatever. Some like,
Hmm.
but then again, some people what they call them if they call sandbagging or not loading them up, they're waiting, so
Yeah.
keep people wondering. Well, he don't have anything yet. Meanwhile, he's got 80 or 90 inches back there of
Right.
fish.
Right.
So yeah, that's always
Yeah.
interesting. But
And I try to stay off of that when I'm fishing a tournament, just
right,
because, man, like fishing a tournament is crazy, because for the people outside looking in, it's just like you're just fishing. Like, relax, like you got
right,
this. You're just fishing. But at the same time, like, when you're actually in the tournament fishing, you're double guessing yourself all the
right.
time. Like,
Yep,
what should I be throwing this instead of that? Should I go here instead of there? What's
you're right. You
everybody else
do.
catching? Like, you look onto your phone and you're looking at the app, you see people are catching, and you're like, what am I doing wrong? And
Right.
it's such a big mind game
That's
that
that's that's exactly it.
yeah, it gets stressful sometimes. You kind of psych yourself out, and sometimes you have to sit back and just tell yourself to fish your strengths, and you know maybe you'll get lucky.
Right, fish what you know works, because like you said, that brings extra stress. If you were just fishing, it's like, we got plenty of time. We can just work here, we can go over here next, try
Mhm.
this. But like you said, you got other people you got to worry about. What are they catching? You got time, time frame. You got to be, these got to be loaded up by this or whatever. So it
Mhm.
does put another, but at the same time, it's really kind of fun. I mean, it's kind of addictive, especially when, like you said, you start catching them, you think, oh man, this is good. I'm not being the hunt here.
Mhm.
So that it is a lot of fun. So now, how many tournaments you plan on doing this year?
So all of ABA for sure
Okay.
is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna try to focus on a lot of the SoCal tournaments just
Okay.
because, unless I qualify for other tournaments that, give me the opportunity to go out to like Clear Lake, California, or like, Lake Havasu in Arizona, or maybe even Gunnersville in Alabama. Um, Other than that, I just plan on fishing locally, at least until I qualify, and
Right.
it gives me a reason to, drive 8 hours away to go fish a lake.
Exactly. How many tournaments is they having this year in that ABA?
So ABA, I think, oh man, I think it was like six or something like that. Let me see here, see what they're. So we have one, two, three, four, five, six, and Tournament of Champions is going to be seven, the seventh one.
Okay.
Yeah, so basically we have El Capitan, then we have Lake Paris, San Vicente, then El Capitan again, Lower Otay, Havasu Landing, and then the Lake Kachuma. I've never heard of that lake before, but
Mm. You never know. You might do really good there. You don't know nothing about it, so you might go out there and just not have any preconceived notions.
yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
That
that
is
that
true.
that could help too. So that goes from tomorrow, and then what month is the latest tournament? How far into the year do you go into that? Did it?
Um, so with 2024, it looks like TOC is gonna be um October, October
Okay.
26th and 27th. But I've fished a lot of 2023, those later tournaments as well. Um, so I know that there's like a little monthly tournaments here and there where you can do online. Those online tournaments is what they call it, where it's like nationwide, and you kind
Right.
of fish against other people inside your state and then also nationwide as well. Um, Done a couple of those, and it's
Yeah.
fun to just challenge yourself. When you're fishing a tournament, and I didn't know this until I actually started fishing a tournament. You learn a lot about yourself.
Right.
Like you learn that, hey, maybe I'm not as good as I thought I was because I can't catch, fish to save my life.
It's humbling.
And yeah, exactly. It's very humbling, especially when you have that time frame, like you were saying. You don't have all day to figure these fish out.
Right.
So and then comes the panic of, okay, what should I do? Should I cover water? Should I slow it down? And it's chaotic
Yeah.
at,
That's
at
what's
best.
Yeah, that's like the KBF kind of like they said they do like the state challenges are like that, where it goes by month. And so you have plenty of time to upload the pictures, but they take the best five, even if you catch 10, it just the little one just gets bumped out
Hmm.
automatically. And it's you look on that board and thinking, man, these guys got this many and I'm way down here. We're going to catch them. It can get interesting but scary too. But it does make it a lot more fun, I think, going out because it just it's fun. You not fun fishing no matter what you do is fun, but it just gives a little extra thing. And heck, you can win some money or some prizes, and
Hmm.
like you said, get the chance to qualify and go places that you may not get to go to any other time. And try some new water and stuff. Because I kind of love to go down there, and fish some of those southern lakes, down there. I've never had the chance. Now I did a guided bass trip down at Rodman Reservoir in Florida, but that was all live bait, but it was a lot of fun down there. That's a strictly catch and release reservoir there. At least it was then. But
Hmm.
um, we was using the live shads, and I never forget it. The guy says, "Now, if you leave here today and your stomach isn't sore, red, and almost raw because you didn't do it right," and I'm like, "What are you talking about?" But you got to really pull that rod into your gut, and you really got to set back, really hard to get because you got to drive the hook through the shad, the fish, and because the shad will swim way back in these pads, and they call it
Hmm.
idiot vines, all this weeds and stuff back in there. That's because that's where the big bass are hanging out back in there. You have to they got to swim back in there, so you got to cut through all that stuff. And
Mm.
I never caught so many 5 pounders in my life, and it was just I was having a blast, and the biggest one I caught, I got a replica made that was 810. I just reeled in. I knew I had it, and all it was we could see was grass. And then I like you said, dead weight. You didn't think what you thought the fish was gone. You're just like, it's dead weight here. Is it gone? And the guy said, I think it might be gone. And he starts pulling grass off. Then he sees a big old mouth down. He goes, no, wait, there it is. And he grabs it. So it was pretty fun there. But yeah, eight
Oh
ten.
man.
I'm not complaining about that one. That was a lot of fun. So I had a replica made of her. So it was a good time.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like you said that was your PB.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh yeah,
So
so your PB just came with a side of salad. That's all it was.
that's a good point. But yeah, there's like so much grass because there was that's how they fished back in there. But the shad would go right back in there. And the shad were good size. They were probably 4 or 5 inch shad. I mean, they were
Oh
pretty
wow.
pretty big. So, but it was a blast. I mean, if you got the time, I think a guided trip is something to do because they could put you on fish that you wouldn't know, but there's something also too about fishing your local areas and finding something on your own. I think might even be a little bit more gratifying. I think my biggest one
Mm.
around here that I've caught maybe 4 or 5 pounds. I'm not really sure on the largemouth size, but that I know the 810 was the biggest one I've ever caught. So
There you go. Yeah, I'm still trying to break my 4 pounds. That's it. That 3.86 is my biggest. So
right,
if it's
it'll
not four
happen.
pounds, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, right. It'll happen. It'll probably it could come this year. I mean, it'll happen for sure because they get some of these bass getting bigger and bigger down there. So as long as I think if you
Mm.
have a good management, catch and release comes into play on that. I think you'll get it. So I think you will. So just
Yeah,
hang
I
in
think
there.
it'll come with time. That's for sure. It'll come
Right.
with time.
Yep. So
Uh,
um, so we covered the your best lure. What's your what's your favorite type of fishing, style of fishing? Do you said you like the fast cranking and
mhm.
more than the finesse and stuff?
Yeah, so I
Right.
I I went from finesse to that power fishing type where I'm always
Right.
cranking, using a jerk bait. Covering water is essentially
Right.
one of the things that I tend to do the most, especially in a tournament scenario because like I said, you don't have that
Yeah.
kind of time to figure
Right.
them out. So try to cover as much water as you can with what you're comfortable with is more of my plan. Um, Anytime I'm doing a tournament, really, unless
Right.
I know for sure that like I need to slow down and figure them out. I've yet to have a pre-fish where I'm just like, oh yeah, this is exactly what I'm gonna do tomorrow or this
Right.
weekend. I've never come had that that luxury of knowing that. So covering water with what I can is the type of fishing that I do.
Right. Because then if you find the bite, you can maybe go to that area where you get the most and slow down a little bit with other things and
Hmm.
catch
Just
more.
pick
But
it
yeah, there's
apart.
Yeah, there's a thing about like covering a lot of water because it just varies a lot of times where they're going to be so that's a very good strategy. But yeah, sometimes it'd be nice every day. Say, like you said, I'm going to go out here. This is what I'm going to use. I'm going to start here. Usually have my starting points. I like to. I don't know if the lakes look a little different than California here. Do you have guys have a lot of grass and stuff out there?
I know up north there's a lot of grass in like Clear
Okay.
Lake, but the lakes around here, San Vicente has a bunch of just laid down trees. Like if you
Okay.
look down in the water, you'll see, you'll be at 40 foot of depth, but you'll see a tree. Yeah, like you'll be right over a tree, like an actual tree, like a Christmas tree or something. Like it's
Right.
crazy. The type of fishing that you would do at San Vicente versus another lake that we go to is called El Capitan. Is they're almost right next to each other. They're within 10 minutes of each other. But the kind of fishing that you would do at San Vicente is completely different than what you would do at El Capitan because El Capitan doesn't have those kinds of laydowns or trees, but
Right.
they have like sticks coming out. But you could throw a you could build throw a Bill Lewis ATV 1.5, which is another crankbait that I use a lot out there, and go in between these sticks, and it'll go right through. Like I don't have to worry about getting hung or anything like that
Right. That's
at
good.
El Capitan. But at San Vicente, you're throwing a crankbait, you're gonna get stuck 100% of the time. You are going to get stuck, and that's part of the challenge that I'm facing right now. Is like, okay, I know where these fish are because you can see them, you
Right.
can see these guys swimming underneath you. It's like it's a tease more than anything else.
Yeah. Right. I know
And
you're there.
Yeah, I know you're there. You don't want to bite, so how am I going to trick you to bite? But
Exactly.
so that's the biggest challenge is how to fish that lake so that you can get down to the fish, but also once you get down to them because they're in these trees, how to get them out.
Right.
So
Now, have you used the glide baits out there, the big glide baits?
I've never thrown a glide bait
Yeah, me
in my
either.
life. I bought one. I bought a River to Sea, S waver,
Hmm.
and I told myself, oh yeah, I'm gonna throw this. Still on my tackle box.
Yeah, I bought one
Still
too
on my
last
tackle
year.
box.
I bought one too. Still, I think it might still be in the box it came in or whatever. So yeah, I've never had, but I want to because it looks really cool. When you see it,
Hmm.
you see it being done. It's just yeah. But no, I'm right too. I might throw it this year just to throw it. I thought, what the heck, just for fun, see what happens. I'm just out there trying to get around. So yeah, because I mean our fishing's probably going to be done for a while here because it's just been so cold. So I have to wait another couple months probably before I get to water starts, warming up a little bit. Because I mean, like I said, we're getting some really cold weather coming through here, so that's gonna,
Hmm.
things will be trying to ice over and everything, but that's never any good either. So,
I know with top water, there's a local lake like 10 minutes from my house, and I go to this lake all the time. It's called Lake Hodges,
okay,
and this is where majority of the videos that I post is at because it's the closest lake to my house for one, and two, it's the biggest producing lake that we have. So like the average fish that you would catch out there is about an average of 18 inches.
wow,
So yeah, you pick these guys off, and they're good quality fish.
good
If
having a
you want to
tournament for
catch,
sure.
oh
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
If you want to catch a good bag, you go to Hodges. Like that's a no brainer. Um, Dustin, he actually caught a 7 almost 8 pounder out there using a tiny little BFS crankbait, like one that you would use for crappie, and he
Right.
pulled out a 7 pounder with that. I'm like, dude, what are like how?
Right.
Um, then another buddy of mine, he caught a 7 pounder out there as well using a lipless crankbait. So I mean, I have guys all around me just catching monster fish, and I'm just like here with my little dinky 3.86.
Yeah. Now it's your turn. Now it's your turn to get in there.
But no, so what I was gonna say is I throw a lot of topwater out there, and
Hmm.
so the topwater bite is my absolute favorite bite, hands
Oh,
down.
yeah, it's the best. Oh, yeah, you can't beat it.
No,
It's
yeah,
just so
no, you just
exciting.
it's
No.
just there's a time and a place for it, but when that time and place comes,
Oh,
man, it is the most exciting bite that you could have. And with me having that S waiver, I think once that like opens back up because it closes for a certain amount of months every year.
hmm.
Once it opens back up and once I start getting on a top water bite, that S waiver is definitely gonna get thrown out.
Yeah, that like I said, I live for those mornings when it's like 60, 70 in the morning and cloudy and they're calm. Oh, you just know, at least around here, I thought, man, I got to start with the top water. You just got to either
Mm-hmm.
a frog. I like throwing spooks and the old Zara spook. I'm still throwing that old thing. And I love the pop art type of a bait too, at least around here.
Mm-hmm.
That's been really productive for me. But yeah, you just can't beat it. It just stops the heart sometimes, or to get a frog around some pads and stuff. It's just a lot of fun you know. Now, you talk about the big bass hitting that little bitty bait. Um, do you think there's a really big correlation between a big bass, big bait, or little bass, little bait, or do you think it even matters?
So I would say that go big or go home is definitely a big factor when it comes to catching those monster fish.
Right.
But I would also say that it's more of going to the extremes, right? So if you're gonna go with a big bait. If you're gonna go with a smaller presentation, go with a small presentation. A lot of guys that when you tell somebody to go bigger or go smaller, they might
Right.
be throwing a 3 inch Kitech as a swim bait, and then bigger to them means like going up to a 4 inch, or smaller to them
Right.
going down to like a 2.8 inch. No, when you say that you need to like upsize or downsize, you really have to upsize or downsize. So I think with Dustin giving that fish a presentation, one that it's probably never seen before because it's
Right.
a little
True.
tiny little crankbait. That coupled with the fact that it's smaller, so it vibrates a lot more inside the water. It's a lot faster when you reel it in. So he might have actually gotten that off of a reaction bite more than anything else. But I think the correlation was just more of um, the exaggeration of either upsizing or downsizing.
Yeah, and that's a good point too. Like you said, it makes an action maybe that bass is not used to seeing. He may used to be seeing these big, huge chatterbaits or like you said, these really big crankbaits come by and thought, no, I've seen that before. But he sees
Mm-hmm.
this little, like you said, wait a minute, that's something different. And that's that. Sometimes you got to think like the fish. I've never seen this type of a thing. Or like I said, sometimes a reaction. A lot of times, not sure what it was. Like it's so small and little, it's an easy meal. Just get it real quick.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, you got to think about that kind of stuff too. So yeah. Well, I'm getting excited. This cold weather just gets me just bummed out, because like just want to get out there and start casting again. So, but I get I got the boat all cleaned up and everything good to go for the spring, so she'll be all ready to go when I get out there. Now, do you have a trailer for that kayak, or do you throw it in the back of the truck on
So I
that?
throw it in the back of a truck.
Okay,
So I used to rooftop my kayak with my SUV.
right,
I come to find that every time I wanted to go out fishing, which is every single weekend,
right,
Saturday and Sunday, if I have the opportunity to, yeah, throwing the kayak out of my patio onto a cart, dragging it to my car, putting it on top of the car, as well as all my other tackle, my rods, my tackle crate, everything like that, the pedal drive, my net, just going back and forth.
right.
Um,
It's a
it,
lot.
it kind of grew old, yeah. And with the HOA here, technically we weren't supposed to be putting things over the patio walls. So last thing I want to do is get in trouble with the HOA, right?
Right.
And I remember there was this time where I was unloading my gear from my car, and it was really obvious. We have a little area where you could park your car for like the trash, the garbage trucks to come in and take out the dumpsters and stuff like that.
Okay.
And that's maybe about a 20-yard distance from my patio. So I'm over here, it's a fire lane. I get it. I wasn't supposed to park there, whatever the case may be, but I'm just unloading my stuff. You could clearly see that I'm unloading my stuff.
Right.
And I actually had a tow truck driver like inspect my car, and he was like looking around, and I didn't know he was a tow truck driver at the time. But I was just like, "There's something wrong with this car. Like, what's going on?" And he
Right.
was like, "Oh, you can't park there." I was like, "Well, you see me unloading my stuff. Like my kayak is literally right there. You see me
Right.
unloading everything. Like, come on, dude, give me a break." He was like, "Sorry, man, I'm gonna have to write you up. Like, you can't park here." I'm like, "Come on, dude."
Mm.
It wasn't. Well, I had a few choice words from him, but yeah,
Yeah.
that after that, I was just like, "Man, I have to find a different way." So I bought a truck, and I basically set up my truck so that it has everything in there. Like literally, all I have to do if I ever wanted to go fishing was just drive. That's it. I have my rod stored in there with
Okay.
so I have like a camper on the bed of the truck. So like I have all my rods just kind of suspended, hanging at the top.
Okay. Makes sense.
Um, and then I have like all my tackle and stuff inside the cab, and I have the motor inside there as well. And then I also have the kayak just kind of hanging out there, and it's a 12 and a half foot kayak, so it kind of sticks
Right.
out quite a bit.
Right.
Um, but I parked the truck in a carport, so I back into it, so like it can't
Yeah.
really get stolen unless
You're
you're
not getting
gonna
the
take
boat
the
out.
truck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
that's smart too. Yeah. Yeah, that's a shame that, like, talking about the tow records, like you wouldn't it's not like you parked there and went inside and watched a movie and had dinner or something, that'd be different,
yeah, I can understand. I mean, granted, he's
Yeah.
doing his job.
Right, yeah, it's
I
just
can't knock
yeah,
him for that. But at the same time, like, come on, dude, give me like you literally see me
right.
moving back and forth in my stuff. Like, come
I
on.
would have said, "Hey, when you're done, just make sure you move the truck." And you was going to, but yeah, I know it's the way it is. Yeah, I just
Yeah.
got like I said, the native. I think it's a 10 foot. Obviously, it's like
Mhm.
and I got a little Explorer Sport track, so it's got like only a 4 foot bed. It's real small, but I use one of those bed extenders that I bought on
Mhm.
Amazon, and that thing is works like a charm. It's the most best thing. It just goes right into my trailer hitch and extends the bed out another 2 3 feet,
Mhm.
and it just get to lift the part of the canoe up on the top of that, and it just slides right into the bed, and it works perfect for me. And I added some because I added some like I got this like there weren't you could use them, but I did, but they look like those pool noodles that you float
Mhm.
in the
Mhm.
water. But it was like they sold them in and that's one thing. I mean, I hate buying everything at Amazon. Nothing against Amazon. I just like to buy local stuff, but things I want to get, I got to go there to get some of this specialty stuff.
Right.
But they're little, they're low, they're heavy duty. They're a lot bigger. They're a lot more strong than those pool noodles, but they're heavy duty and they already got pre-slid ends, which is nice. So you can just, I slip them over those bars on the where the kayak will come in contact with that rail, the bed
Hmm.
extender, and it protects it from, scraping it all up, and it works great. Then of course I hang my red flag on the back of it, but yeah,
Hmm.
it works great because I can the lake I fish to the most, I can just back up on the ramp and then just pull it off to
Just
the
launch it
side
up.
and
Yeah.
yeah, pull the side and it's in the water and just lift it off and then load my stuff, load my gear in the kayak, and then go park the truck, and it works great because yeah, I don't have a trailer or anything like that. That way, I really don't need one with this. But that bed extender made a world of a difference. So, because
Oh
that's the
yeah.
thing too. Like
Yeah.
when you're buying a kayak, like I did a video on my channel about what's the best kayak, and I said the simple answer: there is none.
Hmm.
It's going to be based on what you do, your needs. There's so many factors involved in it. What type of fishing you're doing, what size, how big of a person are you? What kind of waters you're going to be going into. There's so many. What kind of vehicle you have. There's so many different things that go into that. There's no such thing as a perfect a perfect boat. So that's why I looked and was doing checking out, and the native just happened to work out to everything. It had everything I wanted. Like I love the camo finish, and I got good reviews. I just like how it designed, so I went with it. 'Cause it had a lot of tracking system, to put different things on. And now I'm
Hmm.
only running a little bitty Humminbird Max 4, something really tiny on mine. I don't have no big fancy electronics or anything, but because I'm still doing the pedal, but it works out for me. I'm simple. I like to be simple and easy. Even when I hunted, I was just all about simplicity, just enough to get the job done, and and have fun with it.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
and
that's true. The native Slayer Max, or
yeah,
yeah,
that's
the native Slayer Max is like my all-time favorite kayak. Like I absolutely love the way it looks. I love the way everything is kind of laid out. The reason why I got this kayak in particular is just because it was just an opportunity more than anything else.
right,
But if I had the choice between this one or a Slayer Propel Max, then I would absolutely choose the Max over this, even though I might sacrifice a little bit of space. I kind of
right,
feel as though the Max just fits my personality and my needs a little bit better.
right.
But
Yeah,
yeah, it's just opportunity more than anything else.
yeah. Because that's the pedal drive. You will lose a little deck space because you got that
Hmm.
big console and the drive sitting right there. But that'd be the only thing. But yeah, that's really nice. They really done a lot with these boats, and nowadays it's just amazing what they do. Um, and then, like I said, I think was it Old Town come out that one that's electric motor driven. The
Oh yeah,
pedal
the
thing.
EPDL. Yeah,
Yeah, it's like
yeah.
that thing's like 5 or 6 grand. I'm like, oh my goodness, that's
Yeah,
a
and
lot.
so you were to compare that against a Old Town autopilot that has spot lock on it,
Right,
and it's like it's a to me personally, it's a no brainer. Like you're spending the same amount of money essentially because I think they're both roughly about $6,000. Last time I went to Bass Pro and I've seen it,
okay.
but one of them you kind of have a battery, so the was it the Hobie EPDO or is that Old Town? I think that was Old Town.
Yeah, the Old Town had that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So you were to compare that to the autopilot that they have to offer that has spot lock
right.
and everything like that. It's like there's why wouldn't you want to go with a spot lock version? 'Cause it just makes a world of difference. Like I always knew that I was gonna get spot lock, but I never
Right.
knew how much of a game changer it was going to be until I actually got it. Um, so I mean, if it is in your budget, I would absolutely recommend getting spot lock on your kayak. It makes fishing so much easier because you're no longer having to reposition yourself. You could actually focus solely on fishing. It's just
That make
really nice.
yeah, that's yeah, that is nice. Like I said, because I mean, I noticed the big night and day difference between the paddle and the pedaling. It's just that was amazing.
Mm-hmm.
So I imagine going to that would even be better. So yeah, we have to look
Mm-hmm.
into something like that. That coming up. So maybe step up my game a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, so luckily you actually have a kayak that has these options. Like they have aftermarket options available
Right.
for mounting and things like that. With the Perception crank that I had, there was zero options just because it
Right.
wasn't it wasn't strictly a fishing kayak. It was a recreational kayak that I kind of tailored towards myself. So you know, the way that I did the math, because after I bought the new kayak, I obviously sold my other one, and just out of pocket, I spent $1,500 out of pocket for this new kayak essentially,
And that's
and
everything that was included in there was in that price?
everything,
Yeah,
everything.
yeah, you got a
So
deal, you got a
yeah,
deal.
yeah, exactly. So I was just like,
Mhm.
man, the motor itself is already $1,300
Yeah,
brand new. And then I also have to buy a battery, and then on top of
mm,
that, I have to figure out a way to rig it up. And then on top of
yeah,
that, this is my biggest thing about why I decided to go with this kayak was registration.
mm,
Here in California, once you put a motor on your kayak, no matter how big or how small it is, you have to register it. And
same here, yep,
yeah, so with the kayak that my first kayak that I had no paperwork with it. So imagine
okay.
trying to go to the DMV and try to register something with zero
Oh,
paperwork.
yeah, they
Like,
yeah, what size of motor? How many horsepower? You got a trailer with yeah,
yeah.
it's not easy, yeah.
Even then, when I did the registration, the title transfer, so I get the certificate of ownership
Right,
transfer with this kayak. I mean, this process I've gone through for about 3 weeks now, and I just got my stickers yesterday.
okay,
Um, um, yeah, this morning I actually went out to replace the stickers and everything like that. But even then, that process took a very long time. So just imagine,
yeah,
not having any kind of paperwork and trying to go to the
no,
DMV like that. No, it's just not going to
no.
happen.
I just don't care going to the B&B, at least around here. I mean, ours is you can't really do much in there. You get run around, and it's like you go in there, they can't produce your license right then and there. You got to come in the mail. You got to do online. You can't get your stickers in there for your license. I mean, it's just like
Oh wow.
why you even here? You know?
Yeah,
But yeah,
yeah.
they'll give you the runaround because you'll have somebody tell you one thing, and then you come in with everything, and it's like, well, we need this too. You know, you're not notified. I mean, it's yeah. I don't want to get a whole BMV thing, but yeah, it's not fun. That's like
No,
that's one
no.
thing that's probably held me up from getting a motor because I knew I'd have to go with that and get it registered and all that stuff
Hmm.
and everything. So I haven't done that. So every year I just go buy my launch permit that we have to have on our boat. You know, it's like
Hmm.
$5, but you could go anywhere in the state with that public water. It's good for a year. So that's pretty simple. You know,
Yeah, there you
so
go.
yeah, that's
I
not
know.
too bad.
So when you bought your kayak, did you buy it brand new?
Yeah, I bought it brand new. Appomattox. I can't remember if it's like trading company or whatever. I feel bad, but yeah, I ordered it from there. I did a bunch of online, and back when I bought they were hard to find. You know, because it was I bought it in right at the beginning of 23. Um,
Mm,
and I got it in February because for 22 was a year it was hard to find kayaks. Supplies were low, you know, because
mm.
I think a lot was that COVID because a lot of things were shutting down, you
Right,
know,
right.
and it was just a bad time of the year that time. So I found one there and like $99 to have it shipped. I thought, I can't beat that. I couldn't drive down there that cheap to pick it up. I think they're based
Yeah,
out of West
right.
Virginia or Virginia. So yeah, they freighted it up and then it was brand new and got to have the fun pleasure of opening it up, and getting it all lined up. But yeah, so I was brand new, but it did come with, your the whole
The
number and
paperwork and
all that
stuff like
stuff,
that.
paperwork
Yeah,
it needed. Yeah, yeah, exactly. Because like if you would have bought a used one, they didn't have anything with it. It'd been
yeah,
a little bit difficult.
yeah.
But this had
Good
everything I
luck.
needed. Yeah, this everything
Yeah.
I needed. I
So
had read a receipt, my purchase date, and everything like that. So yeah.
mhm. I know AAA does registrations as well. So I know the guys down here in California, they say, hey, if you're going to register your kayak and you have the paperwork, but you don't want to deal with the DMV, and if you have AAA, go with AAA. That's
Wow.
like a tip that they have because they will literally take care of everything for you. So assuming
Nice.
if you have all
Right.
the paperwork and everything like that, and you have AAA, I would recommend checking that out. I don't have AAA myself, so
Right.
I
I
can't
didn't
really
know
speak
that either.
from.
I had no idea. That's a good little tip. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So if you have AAA, have them deal with any of your registration
Yeah.
stuff. That comes with vehicles as well. As if you have AAA, then they deal with all the car registration stuff like registration
Mm,
renewals and everything like that. You can use their services for that as well. But
nice.
that's a big tip for us Californians, at least from everybody that that I've talked to. Like, hey, if you have AAA, just let them handle it.
Yeah, that
They'll
sounds
be so
good.
much off of your back.
Yeah, because I don't think I met anybody that says they actually love going to the B&B. What's worse, that or the dentist? Take your pick. But
Yeah.
no. Well, hey, I've had you on for quite a while. I know you got a lot of stuff to do. I've got things that we got to do too, family things and everything, and you got to get ready for a tournament tomorrow. But I want to thank you for coming on and taking your time, and I wish you the best for tomorrow. And go get that 5 pounder. Maybe you never know.
Yeah, yeah, you never know. I really appreciate the time and the opportunity to be on here.
Okay, and
Yeah, I mean, I would love to do this again. Just let me know.
absolutely, we're going to follow up, make sure see how you done for sure. Now, before you go, I'll also put links into this video as well. Your YouTube channel or any other
Mhm.
social media you'd like to throw out there for people to come check you out.
Yeah, yeah. So you could check me out on YouTube. The channel name is Yo It's Jerry. So YOITZJERRY. You could find me on Facebook or on Instagram as well. My Instagram name is Yo It's Jerry as well. And then Facebook is just my first and last name. So you guys feel free to check out the content. Like, subscribe will be appreciated. But
Absolutely.
yeah,
Yeah, I'll put the links down there so people can check it out. You got some good videos over there, and like I said, now you plan on doing any filming tomorrow?
yeah, yeah. So I've basically made the commitment that every single time I go out on the water, I'm
Yeah,
gonna film because
good idea.
that one time where you're not filming, something extraordinary is just gonna happen. And
Absolutely, absolutely, exactly. Just have that thing run. If it happens, it happens. But then, like, if you don't have it on, you're no good. And I finally
Mhm,
last year, I finally upgraded. I finally got into the Osmo Action 4 camera, and it's so much better than that. I used to try to go through those budget cameras, and they're. I mean, I'll be honest with you, they're junk. But the audio's terrible. The first time I did the video, I could hear everything behind me clear. I mean, the birds and the animals in the background going and stuff, the water. But when I was talking, you could barely hear me because the microphones on those just were not good. So
you just
if
hear everything except yourself.
yeah, exactly, the one white thing you wanted to hear, unless I turned around, like this and was facing the camera. But
Mhm,
so I recommend everybody if they're going to get into that to spend a little more and get a either get a GoPro or
mhm,
an action camera, Action 4, Osmo Action, whatever to get because the microphones are just complete night day difference. So
mhm.
yeah, I
Yeah,
definitely
I agree.
recommend it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
buy once, cry once.
exactly. But yeah, again, thanks a lot. Appreciate your time, and we'll get you back on and here do a follow up and see how you do tomorrow. Good luck. What time's the tournament from win to win?
To be honest, I'm not even too sure. I haven't even looked at the rules.
Just make sure your
So,
batteries are charged.
yeah, so terrible tournament strategy, guys. If you guys ever like take anything away from this podcast, do not
Don't
follow my tournament
do
strategy.
not
I'm the
follow your
worst.
strategies. Don't even know what time I got to be there, but hey,
Yeah, I don't know what time I was supposed to be there or anything. I don't know when lines in is,
it might be
but
a good thing I asked.
yeah, yeah, no, it is because like
Right.
now I'm actually gonna go in and read the rules and everything like that. Let's actually see what that is. Um, oh, jeez, I don't even know. Let me look on their Instagram real quick. But yeah, no, lines in I think is at like 6:30 or something
Okay.
like
Right.
that, and then lines out is at 3:30. I believe. I don't know. I'm gonna have to take a look into the rules.
Right. I got you. I got now. One last thing. I say another question. Um, do you know how many? Do you have any approximately how many boats are going to be out there tomorrow? You have no idea. Probably till it
So we
shows up.
have, I think last time I checked, there was 35 anglers out there.
Okay. All right. Not bad.
So
First
yeah,
tournament.
quite.
I mean, that's an early start for the tournament season. A lot of them, I guess. I mean, I think some start towards the end of the month or 1st of February. So it's an early start. But hey, at
Hmm.
least you're
So
going. At
we
least you're
have,
going. I'm jealous, I guess.
so we have 36 anglers signed up, and
Okay.
it looks like the start time is going to be at 7 a.m. The end time is going to be at 4 p.m. So
All right. All right. Well, we wish you the best. Remember, don't forget that wacky worm's out there. I know you don't like it, but hey, it's a good one. I'm telling you.
hey, no, I'm not saying I don't like it. I'm just saying that I've grown to throw other techniques, but trust
Right.
me, when the going gets tough, that wacky is always gonna be tied on.
Don't know
It
why it
has
is.
to be weighted though. It has to be
Yeah.
weighted.
Yeah. I do the unweighted, which, like you said, it just it
Hmm.
goes down, and I'll be honest with you, it looks dumb as heck. I don't know why fish love it, but
It's
they just
silly.
tear it up.
It's
They just
it's
tear it up.
silly. It just
Yeah,
looks dumb. Yeah,
it
no,
is.
I
I
agree.
go, why am I throwing this? Why? Look at this. It's just a worm going down like this. But I think it's the fact it's horizontal like this,
Hmm.
and it stays that way.
It kind of
I don't
flutters.
know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know something in it. But here we go again. We can be on for another hour if I keep going on that. But again, thanks, Jerry, so much for coming on. It's been a pleasure. We'll definitely have you back for sure, and do a follow up on it and see how you did, and wish you the best. So go get him tomorrow, and have fun and have a good day today.
All right. Appreciate it, Chad. Thank you again for the opportunity. All right, guys.
No problem. Have a good day.
You too.
All right, that concludes today's show. Great having him on. We had a lot of good fun, talked a lot of good stuff there. I wish him the best for tomorrow. We'll catch him back up here again and follow up on and see how he does. And hopefully we can have a we have a winner to show up here next time. So I appreciate all you in for tuning in. If you like this, please like and subscribe. Like I said, we got a lot more shows coming on throughout the year. We're just getting started. It's just the second week of January. So I appreciate each and every one of you for tuning in. And so remember, I hope you all having a good New Year so far. And until the next episode, have a great day.